Well, it's hard to believe that it was a year ago today that I had the privilege of standing before you and announcing our Gimme 10 campaign to generate 10 co-sponsors for the Safe Food for Seniors Act, House Resolution 2181. And I just want to tell you that the work that you have done has been tremendous over the course of the year. We have generated several more co-sponsors. Our lead sponsor is Representative Tom Latham from Iowa. The lead co-sponsor is Earl Blumenauer from the state of Oregon. And we have picked up Lynn Jenkins, who's on the Ways and Means Committee from Kansas, and Representative Sanford Bishop from the state of Georgia. Now, the reason that it is strategically important to build co-sponsors is that we need to build critical mass for this legislation. We need to add as many co-sponsors as possible until such time that we get a champion on one of the committees of jurisdiction who says, you know what, I really want to take ownership of this bill. And I'm going to sit and wait till a vehicle comes through this committee and I'm going to attach this bill as an amendment and we're going to get this thing through and down to the president's desk. Now, I realize that the number of co-sponsors on this bill is not 10. The challenge is give me 10, but let me just say, it has nothing to do with your effort. You have been fantastic. I get all of the emails funneled to me through the home office in St. Charles as far as everything that you're doing. A lot of it has to do with the atmosphere in Washington. Let's put it this way. Right now, things are so toxic in Washington, D.C., that one side could introduce a resolution saluting Mother's Day, and the other side would filibuster it. That's kind of where we are right now. So there's a natural skepticism and defense mechanisms in these offices to signing on to anything. They're always thinking, well, geez, if I sign on to this, someone's going to attack me. Well, Mr. Congressman and Ms. Congresswoman, no one is going to attack you for supporting safe food for seniors. And this is the message that we've got to get through. So we need to build critical mass, get as many co-sponsors as possible, and I have wonderful news to relay to you. This just happened in the last 48 hours. That's going to be of enormous significance to what we're trying to do. I am very pleased to tell you that the two lead sponsors, Tom Latham, Republican from Iowa, and Earl Blumenauer, Democrat from Oregon, have issued a Dear Colleague letter urging every member of the U.S. House of Representatives to sign on as a co-sponsor to H.R. 2181. Turnkey, I think, for us. What a wonderful, wonderful thing to have member-to-member lobbying. As a lobbyist, I can tell you there is no more powerful form of lobbying than having one member go to his or her colleague and say, I really think you ought to sign on to this bill. And you know me for a long time as a personal friend, and this is a bill that stands on its merit. It's not political, and it will be good public policy. So we've got that arrow in our quiver. You've been working real hard up to this point, and now this is just going to be a wonderful tool in the toolbox that you have. So at any rate, let's talk a little bit about grassroots advocacy and lobbying and direct lobbying. Yeah, give me 10. With this dear colleague, how about give me 20, 30, 40, or 50? Messaging. I would suggest, and I know you're the experts, and you know more about dietary management, and you've forgotten more than I could ever hope to learn in the brief time that I've been with you. But in terms of political messaging, I would say this. I can't claim to be the end-all and be-all of CMS regulations, but I've done a lot of regulatory affairs work, and it's clear to me that there was an intent in the regulations that simply was not fulfilled. I believe that the thought was that the registered dietitian would be much more of a full-time presence at the skilled nursing facility, and we all know based on business models today that's not the case. So the intent and the thought was there, but there's a gap. And so what we are seeking is a minimal level, a base level of training and certification. I'm talking in Washingtonese right now. A base level of training and certification at the national level to ensure that the director of food services in a skilled nursing facility is a competent individual to do this. Because this gap right now is being addressed by some 16 or 17 states, but it's a kind of a hodgepodge of different things. Skilled nursing facilities receive some of their funding from Medicare and Medicaid. That's why this is a national issue. That is why the United States Congress ought to pass this bill to establish this policy on a national level. So I would encourage you to use terms like a minimal level of training and certification, and let's stay away from words like we believe that they should be required. Required is the kind of word that when some members hear it, they kind of recoil a little bit and go, well, I don't know if I really want to support more regulations. This isn't more regulations. This is simply fulfilling the intent of the existing regulations. I call it perfecting the regulations. That's why this dear colleague is so important. It emphasizes the fact that this is going to fulfill an important public policy need, elevate across the country the level of quality in skilled nursing facilities at zero cost to the United States Treasury. Incredibly important. It's a winner. This is a winner. I'm so proud of all of the work that everyone here has done. You really have been a wonderful leader in this, and I think this is just the beginning of other reforms and initiatives that are going to be so important in this entire area. Let me just say, and get back to this dear colleague letter, that this is going to be a game changer. This is going to have a multiplier effect. Heck, this was sent out to members of the U.S. House of Representatives. I think that this is going to be a wonderful tool to take over to the United States Senate and get us a champion in the U.S. Senate. I think it's also going to make some of the groups that have essentially said we're okay with this bill, but at this point we're still debating whether we officially want to be listed as a stakeholder supporter, and my thanks to AND for being listed as a stakeholder supporter, and several other groups. We're building that list. I think this is going to get some of those groups to turn around and take a look and say, well, why haven't we called over there to AMP and told them we'd like to be listed too? So I think it's going to work in that regard as well. And then finally, AMP-PAC, our Political Action Committee. This is a program that is separate from the Treasury and dues money that goes into AMP. It is a separate segregated fund that is registered with the Federal Election Commission to receive contributions from you, individual personal contributions that are in turn used to support candidates and members of Congress who we have established a dialogue with or who we are seeking to do so to further extend the Safe Food for Seniors Act. And so I'm very, very pleased that an emphasis is going to be placed on AMP-PAC. It augments what we're doing here. It augments what we're doing in Washington, D.C. It is registered with the Federal Election Commission. And if you'd like to talk about it a little bit more on the trade show floor, we're going to be at the booth, and I think we're going to have a wonderful basket to help raise some money for it. Yeah. So at any rate, I look forward to talking to you about that as well. And then finally, let me just sum it up like this. We've got a bill. We've got a dear colleague. We've got a PAC. And most importantly, we have you. So thank you very much for everything you do. Let's keep it up and put this bill in